All right, welcome back to the channel, fellow Project Space Station enthusiast, adventurers, gamers, astronauts, and anybody who enjoys pushing around a spreadsheet. You're in for a treat as we're taking on in my favorite game, Project Space Station. All right, the 1985 Commodore 64 classic developed by Lawrence Holland for HESWARE software. All right. In classic gamer for fun fashion, I will talk and play and explain what's going on. Give you a little peek at the Commodore 64 version. We're not going to be playing it on the old Commodore 64 version, unfortunately. We're going to be playing it on the DOS version because I still haven't figured out the keyboard not recognizing opening messages in the Commodore 64 version. So, that being the case, we got to play it in DOS. The only difference is, well, there's a couple differences. One, I find launching and landing is quite a bit easier in the DOS version. Two, EVA is terrible in the DOS version. And three, there is a cheat. I'm not going to show it to you, but there is a cheat in the Commodore 64 version that I am so thankful I never knew about. In, oh my gosh, had I known about that in 1985, 86, I probably would not have put as much effort into this game as I have. So, thankfully, I only found out about it a couple months ago, and it's only applicable to the Commodore 64 version, as far as I can tell. So, we're not even going to look at that. Now, budget. You're probably like, why are you doing all this numbers in budget? Well, let me try and get, what am I looking for here? Budget. Initial budget. Here we go. So I played this game enough. I know that this is what we got to do. Okay. Our initial buy, if you look over here in the upper left, just below items, cost, initial quantity, total, $5.2 billion gets us a space station. Okay. After that, we have to add components. However, we won't have the money. Second thing we got to buy is equipment. Initial buy, $1.2 billion. This is what we need. That's what they cost. Okay. And in the bottom right hand corner of the spreadsheet, in the item, allocation, crew, equipment, initial purchases, this is kind of what we're looking at. You'll notice in the very bottom, cost to operate. It actually costs money to launch and land the space shuttle, believe it or not, in this game. They actually got those details. I don't know the dollar amounts. Landing costs 50 million, launching costs 75. That's a lot of moolah, but in 1985, that's the numbers they came up with. Okay, so anyways, what did I have here? Planning, equipment. So our funds available, we're right down to the nub here. So let's get started with it. Now, crew selection. So right off the bat, I mean, this is pretty cool. I touched upon briefly all of these characters. They all have. Ooh, I don't like. Okay, I don't like that we have to go over their name to see their role. You know what I mean? Like for instance, let me just show you. Let me just show you the Commodore 64 version here real quick. Um, if I go crew selection, notice the speciality. It's like right there. Whereas, okay, so Fusilli is a flight engineer. I go to the DOS version. It's like I gotta go over his name. Whoops. I got to go over his name to see that he's not a big deal, but it's just those little tiny little details that really make me wish that I was playing the Commodore 64 version, to tell you the truth. So right off the bat, though, I grab the flight engineers and the shuttle pilots. Okay, you need at least one shuttle pilot, and in order to get your budget approved. So we'll grab just one shuttle pilot. Now, what did I say I needed for? Let's go. What do we need? Budget. Spacesuits. 3 and 3. 2 pods. 3 PAMs. Okay. All right. Let's see what happens here. So, oh, friends, I almost forgot. Wow, that was close. Launch scheduling. Okay, I love the game, but with auto pack on, it automatically puts things you buy into shuttles. Okay, and we don't want that. We want to be able to pick. Let me just move this over there. We want to be able to pick and choose the modules that we put in first, okay? So I always forget. I honestly always forget. So let's just grab this, and when's that first launch? So probably back here. Go more, throw in a couple crew. There we go. So you need at least two crew members to launch and land a shuttle, okay? So whew, that was a close one. See, if I had been buying this stuff, it already would have been dropping into it already would have been dropping. Actually, you know what? We don't need so many of those. Actually, we don't need really any of those right off the bat. Already been dropping into the space shuttles, and we definitely do not want that. Okay, we want to be able to basically say where we're putting the equipment. Grab 4 of those. Okay, so we're not following our numbers 100%, but we definitely want to be satellite heavy at the start of the game because that's how we get our money. Now, I always make a mistake on this one, so let me get back to my budget sheet real quick. Budget sheet. We need 1 dock, 2 crew, 1 lab, 1, 2, 2. Okay, so basically one of everything except crew, power, and radiator. Okay, not a problem. Let me get back to there. So 2 crew, 1, 2, and 2. Perfect. Look at that. Right on the money. 25 mil available. Okay, we will exit that. Next thing we're going to do, we could go into station design and design the station, but I find there's no point to that. What we're going to do though is first one going up. First shuttle launch carries construction pods. Okay. Satellites. Payload assistant managers. 3 satellites and 1 PAM should be enough, okay? Oh, get to hear the awesome sounds. When we max out the weight and the volume of the shuttle, space shuttle, can only hold so much. In this case, we're taking 2 construction pods, 1 PAM, and 3 satellites. All right. It's kind of odd because once the construction pods are launched into space, I think they kind of stay up there. You don't actually have to bring them up anymore. Next shuttle, it's going to be 5 days later, and it's going up with it actually has shuttle crew, and it is going to take up a crew module and a hangar. Okay. And then if we can, we're going to jam in another satellite. Ooh, I can do it. Maybe I want to bring a payload assistant manager instead. And if you can bring spacesuits and that kind of thing, always bring them if you can. Because once they're up there, they're up there. All right. Okay. First two are loaded, ready to go. Third one, I kind of want to have ready to launch at least a month away in case I forget about it. And we want to bring at least two more of those. We already got crew, which is good. And we want to bring the emergency module and a what's next? A power module? Can I do that? Nope. So only one emergency module? Oh, lab? Is that small enough? Docking. Okay, we'll bring a docking module up there. Okay. And okay, that's good. Looking good so far. After that, we have no clue what's going to happen after that. It depends on how well we land and what we get for messages. Depends on what we're going to launch next. And you'll see what I mean in a minute. If you've not played this game, I think I alluded to how frantic it gets. It gets frantic. Okay, I think we're ready to give this thing a go. So I'm going to go to the summary approval, and it's going to say budget approved. And then I go to the crew part, budget approved, budget approved, budget approved, budget approved. If it didn't, this start mission, I wouldn't be able to go to start mission. Okay, once I click start mission, there is no pause in this game. I shouldn't say that. The only time you can pause in this game is when you go to the disk manager tools up at the top there. Okay, those different screens, those are the different screens you go to. The only pause is the disk manager. That's it. So once we start the mission, it's on like Donkey Kong. Okay. I think we're ready to go. I should have actually not been so. Maybe I should have made a mistake and not only had like 5 crew members, because then it would say, you must do whatever, whatever. Okay. But I didn't, because unfortunately I played this game so many times that I can't make a mistake in the budget part. I can make a mistake everywhere else, and I promise you I will be making mistakes left, right, and center. This is going to be like a cheap hotel all over again. Trust me. You can't win at this game. It's so awesome. Okay, we are going to start mission, and it is going to be on. Okay, your mission to construct. This is interesting. This is not in the Commodore 64 version. If you are ready to begin the shuttle launches, then proceed to. Now that the mission has started, your planning costs increase. Time becomes important now. That part is not in the Commodore 64 version. Oh, we already got a mess. Whew. Okay. Not a fan of this sound. I don't know if you can hear that sound, but I am definitely not a fan of it. One bit. It's like a typewriter. Okay, we're launching. Okay, sorry about that. I was not explaining anything because I was busy making adjustments. Basically, okay, in the right-hand window of a space shuttle like this, there's 3 windows. Yeah, wow, we're already there. Okay, so we just going to quickly go back to the launch date. So we got a couple days. Let's swing it over to the EV. We are going to bring out a pod, and we're going to bring out. Whoop, I left him on the ground. Going to bring out Millhouse. EVA, bring out pod. So this is the coolness of this. See how I'm kind of driving around? You can't really see, but I'm basically driving this thing around. depending on how close you are to the how well you stayed in those boxes during the launch will actually determine how, and I'm watching the date in the bottom while I'm talking, will actually determine how close you are to the space station docking station. See that little docking thing out right here? Right above my, oh, is the cursor there? Oh, you can see the cursor. This guy right here, look at that. That's the space station, okay? Jeez, I gotta watch that cursor. Sorry if it was on the screen the whole time. Okay, now these pods, you gotta be very careful with these things because they are delicate as heck. And if they get damaged, your dude basically gets stuck and you'd end up dying, okay? I am going to return pod to storage. Very important you do that. I'm going to exit from EVA. I'm going to get over to the launch because it is happening in one day. All right, so I got a little bit of time to explain what's going on. The Atlantis Space Shuttle, waiting on the pad. STS-02, Shuttle Transport System 02, second launch. Okay. The wind, you can see it changes 15 to 25 miles per hour. If it gets to 40 to 75 miles per hour, you cannot launch. Okay. Now, these are the boxes I was explaining. I'm just using the arrow keys to keep inside these boxes as close as I can to the middle. They go very fast in this, and this might be because my emulator is going. The Commodore 64 version is very easy to play. Oh, you see that message is flashing? I'm going to hit the M. Deploy satellite to geosynchronous orbit. See, this is the part that was the frustrating part of the Commodore 64 version. You couldn't read those messages. So you had no idea that you had to launch a satellite, okay? Which sucked. I got to tell you, it was horrible. Okay, couple things. You're like, but Chad, what are you doing? I grabbed the payload assistant manager, okay? Oh, hazardous release orbit. Let me just explain that real quick. You can't release anything down at the bottom here where my pod is, okay? Otherwise, it burns up and goes to the it burns up in the atmosphere. Okay? So you can't release anything there. What you can do though is drive around and you can dock the payload assistant manager to the satellite. And these graphics on the Commodore 64 version are so awesome. Unfortunately, they're not so awesome on the DOS version. So it's like that little blip is a payload assistant manager. You dock it to the satellite. You can then fire it into space or into geosynchronous orbit. And in a little while, we'll get a message saying we're going to get paid. Okay. Now, yeah, it's really tough to. Okay, the space shuttle with the A on it is Atlantis. The space shuttle with the C on it is Columbia. Okay. Now, remember I said you need to have 2 crew members in order to land? Oh, we got a message, so I'm just going to hit the M. Satellite deployment income added to budget, which is what we're looking for. That's one of the only ways you actually make money here, okay? Remember I was saying you actually need to have 2 people on the space shuttle in order to land and launch it? So because I'm in the pod and because my guy came from the Columbia, if I end up going and returning this pod to the Atlantis space shuttle, Columbia will not have enough people to land. So one thing early game, you actually have to remember who you have where and just switch over to the station screen and you can see Columbia crew, Milhouse and Perney. And then Atlantis crew, Steele, and Sullivan. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to land the Columbia. Okay, same thing. I'm staying inside these boxes in order to get close to the landing site, and then it's going to change. Ooh, this is very fast. Basically, you want to land on the runway. I'm not really explaining it very well, just because a lot's going on. Ooh, it's a short runway. Jeez. Okay, 7-day turnaround. So, depending on how well you land, determines how long you need to repair. In this case, shuttle will need 7 days to repair, which is great. So I'm going to swing over to the launch and scheduling. I'm going to get to the next space shuttle. I'm going to pick it up and I'm going to move it close. Actually, I'm going to move it a couple days away. Okay, so it's ready to go. This will be the next time we launch. Got it? It's bringing up the docking and emergency and a PAM and a satellite, and it has true crew. Perfect, ready to go. I'm going to keep the other shuttle in space. Actually, I'm going to head over here just to pause the game. Whew. Okay, you spend money every single day you're in the planning screen. Okay, so you don't want to be in that planning screen very long at all. Okay. You spend money just moving around. Time goes, 1 day I think is 8 seconds. Excuse me. So you can see that if you are not careful with your time, you can burn through it very quickly. All right. What I'm going to do, actually, since I'm in this screen, I'm actually just going to save the current mission to the disk here. Can I do that? Saving a mission will allow you to resume at later date. Carefully, a mission already saved. Well, we're going to call it gamer. Done. Okay. Now I can always pull that game up. I think what I'm going to do is I'm gonna just explain a tiny bit more, and then I'm gonna get back into the game. But I think I'm gonna end the episode here pretty quick. Sorry, it is. Like in my mind, this game is already frantic. I know it doesn't seem that way, but it seems that way to me because I got a space station started. I have a space shuttle in space. I have a couple construction pods. I have a couple satellites ready to launch, and I got a shuttle on the launch pad ready to go. Okay? When we come back, next episode, we're going to continue building our space station. We're going to continue launching satellites because that's how we make early money, satellite launches. Okay? I think you get $275 million for every geosynchronous launch, and you get 200 for every low orbit or regular satellite launch. So that's an easy way to get money. If you don't do it, sorry. The reason why it's frantic, you only have 10 days to launch. Okay, if you don't, the satellite launch gets turned over to your rivals, the European Space Agency. All right? And you don't get that money. So you have to be quick. You always have to have satellites in space ready to go, and you always got to have people on the station or in a shuttle ready to go. When I get back, we'll talk about the solar flare and why it's important to not have people on the station without an emergency crew module. All right. So I'm gonna cut her here. This has been Chad, Gamer for Fun channel. This is Project Space Station. And to me, it's already getting frantic. We'll see you again next time. Thanks.